They are played live, and he kind of, like, I mean, really, really good songwriting abilities, and he just absolutely hits, sort of home every single time with that. But after that, then he went off and really started hitting this whole zeitgeisty thing, which I thought was fantastic at the time with Year Zero.
Year Zero was an amazing,
that was brilliant.
Very underrated album.
And it's actually at the moment it's kind of creeped me out because I'm going back reading about it. I got sucked in so hard at the time because
there was going to be a TV show and everything. We tell people the concept behind
that's
it. That's
exactly it. So at the time, right, Year Zero, it's basically about Year Zero was basically the US was basically, everything had fallen to shit, and in the year 2022, which is it's coming up now, so this is why I'm kind of reading about it now and going, holy shit, everything has fallen to shit. The government has basically it's gone very evangelical, and it's after kind of taking over. The population is all subdued, and they're all kind of like drinking this water that's making them all sort of pacified and happy. Everything is... it's all very sort of capitalistic and propaganda and all this kind of stuff. And
there's kind of like Lovecraftian kind of...
There's this presence kind of reaching down from the sky, and it's sort of...
the Great Destroyer.
Yeah, exactly. And it's sort of like a very militaristic state, and it's... basically, it's military rule, basically. And it's just... everything has fallen to shit. And it was at the time... Reznor it was like Bush was in power, and he was like, I really don't like the way America's going, and I don't think things are going well. And it was his way of this is another sort of a themed kind of concept album, I suppose, really. It was this whole thing of like, America's fallen to shit. It's turned into a military sort of state again, basically, and I don't really like the way things are going. It was this whole concept album of like, this is what's going to happen, and Year Zero is going to be in 2022, when America is just basically, population has just been ruled by an iron fist. And there was he was speaking to this whole kind of like artist resistance. There was small pockets of people that were kind of like trying to fight out against it, speak out against the oppression, and through art we can kind of build ourselves back up. And he built up this whole kind of alternate reality game around the whole kind of album, where he was like kind of dropping hints online, and at various live concerts he'd leave USB sticks hidden in toilets after the gigs.
It was brilliant fucking kind of like marketing stuff at the time.
Oh, it was phenomenal, like, because fans would find these USB sticks in like toilets after the gig, and they'd be like, what's this? And they'd like stick a thumb drive into their thing. And
there was stuff as well, there was digital ads as well, wasn't there, where people had to kind of go into them, and there was kind of like clues into them where there might be kind of like hidden writing, or if you played it backwards or through filters.
It was absolutely phenomenal. Like, I mean, it wasn't that it was like obvious clues. It was like you had to go in and decipher stuff. There was hidden stuff within like the actual, there would have been a song on a thumb drive, and there would have been like a hidden glitch within the song, and if you fucking decode it, and if like there was a barcode within it, or there was like stuff that I couldn't even understand. I was following it all in fan forums, and I was just reading through what other people done. I was like, God, that's really smart.
It was,
bloody hell.
But it wasn't really received too well, though, was the thing, and he ended up breaking away from the record label at the time and kind of quitting out on his own kind of record label.
Well, exactly, yeah. But it was so well thought. Like, I mean, there was all these geocache drops all around the States. There was billboards taken out underneath like fucking bridges in London and stuff, and there was all these fans are kind of going, there's been something spray painted on a bridge in London. They're like, do you think it's something to do with it? And people are like, I don't know, take a photo, share it online. And there's all the fan forums are going absolutely bananas over it.
At the time,
and every now and again he'd make an appearance, because he did have a username on one of the, and he'd be like, he'd drop in and he'd go, hello,
that was
you're on the right track.
Yeah, I remember him kind of like, he was like always interacting with his fans kind of like online as well. And he was one of the people, it was around this time as well where he started saying to people, just steal our fucking albums, just take this and take that. And that fell on then kind of like the year later, then in 2008, with Ghosts 1 to 4, which were basically kind of like instrumental pieces that he kind of said, you can use them for whatever you want, you can use them for samples.
He gave the flack kind of,
and then I think that was the point where kind of like him and Interscope just parted ways completely, and he set up his own independent thing, and then he released the Slip. So there was a Slip, an EP or a full record?
No, that was a full album, and that was This One's on Us is how it was phrased. On his own website he basically went, right, okay, this one's on us, this is free, take it, download it, off you go, have at it. Don't need to pay for this. If you want to, there is a special edition which costs X amount of dollars or whatever. If you want to buy this all singing, all dancing, fucking bells and whistles, fucking special edition thing, which has X, Y, and Z in the pack, you can do this. But for the regular fan, here you go, digital download. When digital was just kind of really becoming a popular thing, if you know what I mean. Everyone started having MP3 players around this stage. And I was like, here you go, free album. And Jesus Christ, it was everyone went bananas over this as well. Again, like, you know, it was just
and then he kind of, it was like another kind of like hiatus as well, kind of like Nine Inch Nails, because he was doing like, I mean, this is the thing, is we'll get into probably on another podcast about like all the other stuff that Trent Reznor did, because like we're gone like fucking nearly 40 minutes in now.
Are we?
Yeah, to a kind of a whole thing where it's kind of, it's so we won't get into, because that could be another hour. But it was around that time where he was doing a lot of kind of like solo projects and music projects, and he set up kind of like a band with his wife as well. How to Destroy Angels, named after a Coil song. So then they basically, between the odd tour here and there, but kind of like between 2008 and 2015, that was, or about 2012, wasn't when Hesitation Marks came out.
Well, that was, he did a lot of obviously he did a lot of musical scores and all the rest for films. That was his main thing that he was off doing. He did a side project with Saul Williams as well, where he kind of released all of that.
But we'll talk about them another time.
Yeah, okay, sorry, okay, you want me to shut up? Fine, okay. But yeah, his main thing has been with Atticus Ross scoring films and all the rest, and that's what he's been mainly doing. Obviously, he's back with Nine Inch Nails and writing new music and all that.
Hesitation Marks. What songs were on that?
Copy of it and all those.
It was Polybus.
No, that was
on the,
not the actual events, I think, or
that was
violence.
what came after that thing. Like very, very shortly after that was 3 EPs. They were not the actual events, Ad Violence and Bad Witch, which they're all kind of mixed bag of things. They're kind of like very different, but at the same time they're like still
they're a part of, they're all part of. And the reason he was saying about releasing them as EPs is because of the way audiences have become fractured nowadays. People aren't able, it sounds terrible, people aren't able to have their attention span for an LP. You drop an LP, people kind of go, yeah, whatever, and it's done. Whereas at least with EPs, you can get them out there, get them done fast. Here you go, here's an EP.
Well, it's the thing as well, I think he's always been a bit ahead of the times, I think, with things and predicting stuff. And whereas like it's, a lot of people say albums are dead. I don't think they are. I think maybe for a general pop kind of thing, where you're not going to have a Bewitched or a Boyzone release an album there. It's not for record companies, but for artists, like an album is important.
Oh yeah.
But as well, I think he's just has it where he can do stuff, release it online, or do whatever kind of like form he wants to release it, and do whatever kind of tour that he wants in his own time.
Exactly.
And kind of like, you know,
he is
there's
master
no
of his own
constraints.
fate, basically. And that's what those 3 EPs, they connect together to form one LP as such, really. They're one.
Of course, over this time
thing
as well, which didn't say he won Oscars for music as well,
for
and stuff.
scoring
And like,
films,
I think, did he get inducted? No, he didn't get into. He inducted The Cure into the.
He's been nominated a few times for the Rock, but each time has been like almost, but not quite. But yeah, he's been nominated quite a few times.
Out of everyone, kind of like, I think he is probably a modern day kind of like Mozart or Bach.
He is. He's absolutely a classical composer.
Because
he
like
does
the
everything
influence that he's had on bands.
Well, I mean, he's been helming Apple for quite a long time there, Apple Music and all the rest. I think he stepped back from that now. We'll talk about that some other time.
As well,
But that was a little foray he tried for a while, trying to see how he could try and influence streaming services for the benefit of musicians and the audience they have. And he kind of went, done that. Not really what I want to do. I've tried it, but I'll step back from it now. But an interesting experience. But yeah.
Well, it's the thing as well with him, kind of like, I mean, more so it's kind of like the earlier part, the which we kind of like heavily got into, whereas the last couple of EPs and albums are someone that's more settled and kind of like, you know, say at home with their kind of things.
He
where
is
there's
who
not
he is,
like,
and he's like, I know what I want to do, and I'm an older, settled man. Kind of, this is what I want to do, and I want to see how I can get things settled and sorted. And he's not so much into the business side of things as such for the sake of money or anything like that, but just how he can support artists and art itself to actually get out there in this ever-changing landscape of trying to reach people in the manner that people are accustomed to being reached nowadays. Because we were talking about it ourselves previously. His whole experience of getting music was, you bought an LP and you're after spending like 10 quid on it, and if you didn't like it, tough shit, you're after spending 10 quid on it, so you fucking listened to it until you did like it. And he was saying nowadays it's just, there's so much, you click on to the next one, you click on to the next one. So how do you actually get out there and you get to the people that have this endless music at their fingertips, and how do people then actually get to actually appreciate music? How, if you buy a Billy Joel album by accident, you suddenly end up liking Billy Joel and you appreciate it. That doesn't happen nowadays.
No.
You click on a Billy Joel thing and you go, fuck, I don't like that, and you skip. But
yeah. Well, yeah, so that's kind of like what was going to be a brief history. I
could tell that. I could talk about 9 Inch Nails
history
forever.
of 9 Inch Nails. And so I suppose we go on now and talk and see what the lads think of the
Human
Downward
Torch
Spiral.
was denied a bank.
So now I suppose for a classic album, and you can't see me doing the inverted quotes with my fingers, but it is a classic. That means it makes out of being sarcastic about the album, which I'm not.
Air quotes.
Maybe I am. Who knows? God knows. That's who. He knows everything.
No, he doesn't.
I suppose he doesn't.
Exist.
But yeah, so the Downward Spiral by 9 Inch Nails,
or NIN, as they like to be called.
That they hate that.
No, Trent Reznor told me we were having cans the other night, and he was like, "It's a misconception." And he was like, "Actually, can you, instead of calling me Trent as well, NIN. Can you call me NIN as well?"
Hey, NIN.
Give us a look at your Oscar, NIN.
Here it is.
Indeed.
Thanks, you're not getting it back now. Oh, come on, I worked really hard on that. Nah, fuck you.
Yeah, here's a bag of Dutch for you instead.
A bag. He wants a crate.
Well,
could handle a crate of Dutch
Give
Gold.
me 2 Oscars next time and you can have a crate.
Well, do they still do the 12 packs of Dutch Gold?
Probably. I haven't had Dutch Gold since I was a teenager.
I see I was trying to catch you out there.
Never drank it. I didn't devolve into alcoholism, so I don't know what the prices of Dutch Gold are.
No.
It's the drink for people on a budget.
It's a drink of champions.
It's a drink when you need the blood to be
Breakfast
angered
of
up.
champions, in fact.
But anyway, the Downward Spiral. Well, I suppose we could kind of like conclude that kind of like somewhere once you hit the Downward Spiral.
Yes, you're not too far from a bag of Dutch Gold.
Yeah, the form of self-hurt.
Yes, I hurt myself today.
The Downward Spiral, or introduce
it is widely regarded as one of the seminal albums of the mid 1990s. It's released in 1994. It's kind of a cross between industrial, metal, hard rock, progressive rock, alternative. It can kind of span all of these genres, really, I suppose. And at the time, there was nothing really like it, I suppose, on the music scene. Reznor kind of burst forth with this incredibly angry, caustic, hard hitting, I suppose, album, as you could call it, and instantly sort of just absolutely scored the whole sort of rock scene. Everyone kind of went, Jesus, what was that? What the fuck is this noise? And everyone sat up and took notice straight away, essentially. There was the big single off it, of course, was Closer, and went into absolute heavy rotation on MTV straight away, with a little bit of editing, because it was a little bit graphic, I suppose, at the time.
But didn't the video got cut to shit as well, didn't it?
They pretty much every third scene they basically had to drop in a kind of a scene missing, kind of a little title card over it and all the rest, because it was some of it was not necessarily graphic, but it was kind of, it could be viewed as being too graphic, because we'll get into it in further discussion a little bit further in, but it was one of these videos that if you watched MTV at all in the 1990s, you will have seen Closer.
It was a song as well. He didn't think, because it ended up really being taken into a club scene and became like nearly a pop.
It became sort of something. It got taken away from what it was intended to be. It was intended to be sort of a look at sort of obsession and sort of self-introspection and loathing, and sort of, it was nihilism and all this kind of stuff. And of course people heard the chorus and they just heard the I want to fuck you like an animal, and they kind of went, way strip club, woo, fucking brilliant. And it kind of, he went, hang on a minute, it wasn't about that. And they went, no, brilliant, yeah, fucking club. And he was like, hang on, back up a minute, guys. But it just, unfortunately, as he said himself, it's sort of like having children. You kind of, you intend for them to go one way, but once they get out into the world, it's kind of, oh well, they're released into the wild, and it's not up to you what they kind of end up being, really. I suppose people interpret it how they wish to interpret it themselves.
But you're jumping the way ahead, kind of like, I mean, the whole thing with the album as well, for people who, it's the second album by 9 Inch Nails. The first album, Pretty Hate Machine.
I keep
thinking it should be called Petty Hate Machine. ever since because I fucking got it wrong when I heard it at first.
Yeah.
All those years ago.
And you can't be wrong. The album must be wrong now.
Very petty.
Yeah, of course it could be me. Fucking stupid NIN.
NIN, when will you learn?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like, fine. For the re-release, I'll change the name.
Yes.
But if you listen to that album, the jump from that album to this album is fairly dramatic. I think kind of like there's sort of like, I mean, it's in like Head Like a Hole is fairly heavy, but there's certain songs out that are kind of Princey.
Yeah, they're poppy synthy kind of. Yeah. Still industrial, still a bit heavy, you know.
And then there is an EP in